Hello. Today I would like to share with you what happened after our last healing circle. At the last healing circle, my voice switched, as it often time comes when I'm channeling, depending on the beings who come forward. It took me a little bit by surprise because they came in at the very end, and it was about our alignment and ascension and how that exactly can happen. I always wondered how we can go from the third dimension to the fourth dimension, how that would feel, what physical effect it will have, what emotional effects it could have. How is this really going to work, this transitioning from the third dimension to the fourth dimension? For our physical mind, it is hard to conceptualize how we can go into a more etheric or other dimensional level without disappearing really to the third dimensional level. So after this process of healing in our circle, I got a brief glimpse. And after the healing circle, I asked these beings who they were. And they refer to themselves as the Argyle. I had never heard about the Argyle, and they were referring to themselves as beings who had been for a long time with me, but at the same time also for a long time with this planet, because they were the group beings and entities who were responsible or helped other planets like ours to evolutionize to the next level with all the beings in it, including the planet itself. So they were operational beings to link up to higher frequencies on the planet, from physical to less density. And they said they had been with me for a while and gave me the analogy of humans didn't come here to be angered or frustrated or having a hard life, but they compared us to being born a diamond, in the beginning a diamond in the rough, and to develop the full brilliance, we would be needing some abrasion. And life, as you might well know, gives us a lot of abrasive scenarios and life events. And they said these are there to make you more brilliant, to facet you to your utmost brilliance. And each of these events is part of this experience harvesting for your brilliance. Now, interestingly enough, they just briefly reminded me of that comment and then said, research Argyle. Automatically, my hands typed it as Argyle. And I only found two things under that name, Argyle, however you want to pronounce it in English. And they said, by the way, that the name they gave me was only to get these two cross references I found, because their name would be too hard to pronounce for our physical tongue, and it's more like a sing-song than a physical name. But they refer to me as the Argyle, and I should look it up. So here's what I found. One was a Scottish quilt template in form of a diamond with a cross in the center, like two crossing lines. And the other one was talking about a diamond mine in Australia, in Argyle, the Argyle diamonds. I thought interesting. Both have the talk about diamonds and diamond shapes. And the Scottish template for the fabric with the cross, I found that interesting too. So at that moment, they were saying into my head that yes, these crossroads are also the crossroads symbolically of what we are facing by becoming more brilliant in our existence of soul, of our soul journey. And in the ancient ways, these lines had other meanings, and they were sometimes not just related to crossroads, but also to warring and strife and division and coming together. So they could have all sorts of symbolic meanings. And then I read up on the diamonds found in the Argyle mine in Australia. And here it gets very interesting because that's exactly relating to our evolution. I read that these Argyle diamonds are not getting their very intense, strong, pinkish color from any kind of inclusion, but that they were actually getting it from a mutation in molecular structure. And here they were talking again in my ear that that's exactly what we are facing. A shift in molecular structure through a particular event. And that's a similar event like what happened to these diamonds. First, they are under a lot of pressure and building this diamond-esque form, the chemical form for building the diamond. And then the mutation happens through a certain like rupture or release. These particular diamonds were created when earth plates were pressing onto each other and then a certain divide and release happened. And they said, we gave you this to understand that you are at the threshold of a form of release. And this release doesn't mean to have an easygoing life, like a pinky rose garden, all hunky-dory and happy. But the release is just that. So it has to do with us releasing a lot and with us releasing certain pressures we put upon ourselves or were under the illusion that they were put upon us, and those get released. Problem is, we have to be willing to release and let go. Some of you might have experienced recently quite a lot of pressures, whether it's financial, emotional, and somehow it seems like something is shifting and you might not have been able to put your finger exactly on it. But these happenings were created to get you ready for that big release. The release to understand back who you really are in the core center of your existence. And that is the eternity part of you, that eternal soul, having had a human experience. And these experiences are the treasures. They're these collectible jewels, not money, not necessarily friendships, how many we are, how many we have, or even followers, how many thousands we have. It's more about the experience, the quality of experience, the authenticity of the experience per se. These profound experiences which leave an imprint in our soul matrix. And underline is profound. So everything else will be ripped away, taken away to make us more free, to look back into our and journey back to our true home, our soul frequency, through our higher self. So it will be important for the upcoming time to uplink again and realign to the higher self. And recently, a client and also student of mine had a very profound experience, even though it was triggered through a biochemical alteration. And in this experience, she was totally, completely in her higher self. She didn't even know who certain people around her were. She was just in absolute bliss and was absolutely unconcerned about the 3D world's happenings. Yes, one could call it being very ungrounded at that moment. But some of these events, which are coming for us, will throw us out of our normal thinking box. They will throw us out of our normal life path, our, rat race, if you want to say it that way, of our habits, of our patterns. They will relinquish certain patterns, and if we do not give them up freely, they will be more roughly taken away. But remember that this is a release, and in this release happens mutation. And out of that mutation and release comes beauty, so that you see your beautiful self again in your full radiance, that you don't have to compare yourself with anyone anymore, that you don't have to compete, but that the quality of existence comes with coexistence, interrelation of depth and authenticity. And that was ultimately the message they wanted to relate, that we're all heading towards mutational experiences and that they can get a little bit rough, but only to reveal the beauty of the core which we carry within us. And that said, have patience with yourself for the upcoming time. Greetings, also from the Argyle. Bye-bye.